If the power went out tonight and it didn't come back tomorrow, would you actually survive the first week? Not camping survival, not Instagram prepper survival. Real survival when supply chains freeze, water stops flowing, and help is a rumor. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people never hear. When everything collapses, 94% of survival gear is dead weight, expensive, complicated, useless. I learned that the hard way. I poured tens of thousands of dollars into top-tier survival gear, tactical, military grade, highly rated. And when I actually tested it day after day, under stress most of it failed, cracked, jammed, broke, or worse. Worked just long enough to make me trust it, and in a WW3 survival scenario, trust is everything. So today, I'm stripping survival down to what actually matters. 7 tools, nothing fancy, nothing fragile, everything proven. And before you think, I'll just buy more later, let me stop you right there. In a real global conflict, later doesn't exist. Tool number 1, water. The first clock starts here. You don't die from chaos. You die from dehydration while everyone argues online. 3 days. That's all your body gets without clean water. Everyone recommends tiny, ultralight filters. They look great on a checklist. Until they clog, until your hands are numb, until the water source is thick, cold, and filthy. I watched one of the most popular filters fail in under a week. The problem isn't filtration, it's flow rate under stress. When you're exhausted, shaking, or hiding, waiting 90 seconds per liter feels like an eternity. A higher flow squeeze style filter changes everything. Faster water, less effort, less frustration. And when you add a simple cloth pre-filter, something as basic as a bandana, you dramatically extend its lifespan. 30 days of real use, mud, silt, rain runoff, still working. In WW3 survival, water isn't about purity alone. It's about speed and reliability, because every minute you're exposed is a minute you can't afford, and this is just the beginning. Tool number 2, fire. Control the night, or the night controls you when the sun goes down. Fear multiplies, cold feels colder, injuries feel worse, and morale collapses fast. Most people romanticize fire. They buy flashy spark tools and tactical starters. Here's the reality. Fire is redundancy. You need 3 ways minimum. First, cheap lighters, simple, disposable, reliable. If one fails, you grab the next without thinking. Second, a ferro rod that actually throws sparks hot enough to work in rain. Not the gimmicks, not the toys. Third, tinder you control. Cotton and petroleum jelly, cheap, lightweight, waterproof, lights even when everything else is soaked. I've started hundreds of fires this way. Wind, snow, cold fingers. It's never failed me in a World War III scenario. Fire isn't comfort. It's heat, it's boiling water, it's drying clothes. It's a psychological anchor when everything else feels unstable. And without it, the spiral starts fast. Tool number 3, cutting. The lie of the $200 survival knife. This one hurts some feelings. That massive, overbuilt survival knife everyone flexes? I broke one in for days. Meanwhile, a simple, inexpensive fixed blade kept going. Hundreds of hours of betoning, carving, food prep, shelter building. Still sharp, still solid. Here's the secret no one tells you. Survival knives don't need to look dangerous. They need to work endlessly at a compact folding saw, and suddenly you're processing wood efficiently. Less energy, cleaner cuts, safer work. To simple tools outperform any single do-it-all blade. And in World War III survival, efficiency equals longevity. Waste energy early, and you won't last long enough to regret it. Tool number 4, shelter. Exposure kills quietly. This is where people die without realizing it. They buy heavy tents, complicated poles, 30-minute setups, then the wind hits or the ground floods. Or they have to move fast. A tarp doesn't care. 10 minutes, rain, snow, heat. Configured a dozen ways depending on the threat. Add cordage, add insulation from the ground. Now you're protected in World War III survival. Shelter isn't about comfort. It's about staying dry, hidden, and mobile, and here's the terrifying part. Most people think they've got shelter covered. They don't. And what comes next is even more overlooked. Because when the lights fail and darkness becomes permanent, one mistake can expose you instantly, and that mistake is light. Darkness doesn't just hide danger, it creates it. In a real World War III survival scenario, light is a double-edged weapon. Use it wrong and you give away your position. Don't have it and you lose control of everything around you. This is where most people fail without realizing it. Tool number 5, light. See without being seen. Tactical flashlights sound impressive. Blinding lumens, aircraft aluminum, aggressive marketing, then reality hits. 2 hours of runtime, dead batteries, useless brick. What actually matters isn't brightness, it's duration. A low-profile headlamp changes the game, hands-free, stable, runs for days not hours on low settings. You can cook, treat injuries, move quietly. And here's the key detail most people miss. Low light preserves night vision. It keeps you functional without broadcasting. Hey, I'm right here. In a World War III survival environment, visibility equals vulnerability. And the wrong light turns you into a beacon. Carry spare batteries. Not optional, non-negotiable, because when darkness becomes the default, control belongs to the prepared. Tool number 6, medical. The injury that ends everything. This one makes people uncomfortable. Movies show survival as dramatic, explosions, gunfire, big moments. Reality is quieter, a deep cut, a blister that gets infected, a twisted ankle. That's how people actually go down. Pre-made first aid kits are designed for liability, not survival. Tiny bandages, useless scissors, nothing for real injuries. You need a kit built for problems, not appearances. Gauze for bleeding, tape that actually sticks. Antibiotic ointment, pain relief, elastic wrap for joints. Moleskin for feet because immobility is a death sentence. In WW3 survival, medical issues compound fast. One untreated injury becomes weakness. Weakness slows you down, and slow people don't last. This isn't about being a medic, it's about buying time, and sometimes time is the only thing keeping you alive. Tool number 7, signaling. The difference between disappearing and escaping. Here's the paradox. You want to stay hidden until you desperately want to be found. Most people assume rescue is unlikely. That's wrong. What's unlikely is being noticed without signaling. A mirror can be seen miles away, farther than shouting ever reaches. Farther than flares in many conditions, a whistle cuts through chaos. Half a mile of sound with minimal effort, and something as simple as a bright bandana? Marker, bandage, filter, signal. In a WW3 survival landscape, communication infrastructure is unreliable. Visual and auditory signals become your last language. This is how you say, "I'm here," without wasting energy, without risking exposure when you shouldn't, because survival isn't always about disappearing forever. Sometimes it's about lasting long enough to leave. The total and the lie you've been sold. Let's break the illusion. Water, fire, cutting tools, shelter, light, medical, signaling. 7 tools, no fluff, no gimmicks. Not thousands of dollars, not even close. Less than what most people spend on a single ultimate survival kit. And that's intentional, because the survival industry thrives on fear. They want you confused, overloaded, dependent on gear instead of competence. But here's the truth they never advertise. Simple tools get used, complex tools fail. In WW3 survival, reliability beats innovation every time. What to avoid? The traps that get people killed. All in one kits packed with garbage quality tools. Bracelets you have to dismantle under stress. Overpriced filters that don't outperform basic setups. These things don't make you safer, they make you slower. And speed matters when pressure is constant. If a tool requires instructions, maintenance rituals, or perfect conditions, it's not a survival tool. It's a liability, the final truth. And this is the part that matters most. Gear won't save you. Read that again. Gear doesn't save people. Skills do, testing does, failing now when failure is safe does. Because the only tool that never breaks is experience. In a real WW3 scenario, you won't rise to the occasion, you'll fall to your level of preparation. And most people never prepare beyond shopping carts. Don't be most people. Test your gear, stress it, learn its limits. Make mistakes now, so you don't make them when no one is coming to save you. Because when everything changes, the prepared don't panic. They move.